The day the galaxy realized humans weren't peacekeepers, they were patient killers. HFY Sci-Fi Commander Olivia Hayes stood at the viewing window of the Earth Alliance diplomatic vessel Harbinger. The stars stretched endlessly before her as the ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Ahead, the massive space station Harmony Point gleamed against the darkness, its ring-shaped structure rotating slowly. This would be the site of her 19th peace negotiation between alien species. And like all the others, it would end exactly as humanity wanted. "Commander, we're being hailed by both Maxtree and Vortian delegations," said Lieutenant Noah Garcia from his communication station. "They're eager to begin talks." Olivia nodded. "Tell them we'll dock in 30 minutes. That should give us time to review our strategy one last time." The Maxtree Imperium and the Vortian Collective had been at each other's throats for decades. Their ships had been shooting at each other for 3 months now, and both sides had lost hundreds of vessels. Over 2 billion lives had been lost when the Vortian bombed a Maxtree colony world. The Maxtree had responded by destroying a Vortian space station. The cycle of violence seemed endless, until the humans arrived. "What do our intelligence reports say about their military strength?" Olivia asked. Chief Intelligence Officer Lisa Montgomery pulled up detailed scans on the main screen. "The Maxtree have lost 40% of their fleet capacity. The Vortian are down 35%. Both sides are running low on resources. Neither can sustain this conflict for more than another 6 months." Frank Miller, the ship's captain, joined them at the tactical display. Perfect timing, then, just like the Admiral predicted. Olivia checked her uniform in the reflection of a darkened screen. Tall and confident, with short brown hair and sharp eyes, she had the look of a seasoned diplomat. The aliens always commented on how calming human presence seemed to be. They had no idea that this was calculated. Studies had shown that most galactic species responded positively to human facial expressions and body language. It was a biological advantage that humanity had learned to exploit. "Remember," Olivia told her team as they gathered for the final briefing, "our goal is not just peace. It's controlled weakness. Both sides need to feel they've won something, while actually losing their strategic advantages." Noah raised his hand. "The usual approach, then? Sympathetic listening, followed by modest proposals that redirect their military assets away from human space?" "Exactly," Olivia said. "Both species have resource-rich territories dangerously close to our outer colonies. This peace treaty will keep them focused on their shared border, not on expanding toward Earth Alliance space." The diplomatic team of 12 humans prepared their materials. Each member had been chosen for their skills in reading alien body language, spotting deception, and subtly manipulating conversations. They weren't just diplomats. They were some of Earth's most effective intelligence gatherers. Protocol Officer Samuel Bennett checked his neural transmitter one last time. The nearly invisible device behind his ear would record everything he saw and heard, feeding it back to the ship's artificial intelligence for analysis. "Ready for data collection, Commander?" Olivia nodded. "Remember, every conversation is an intelligence operation. Learn their weaknesses, map their strengths, note any technology we should be concerned about." The Harbinger docked smoothly at Harmony Point. As the airlock cycled open, Olivia put on her most welcoming smile, the mask of the peacekeeper. The station's main diplomatic chamber was impressive, a large circular room with a magnificent view of the nearby nebula. The Maxtree representatives waited on one side, their scaled bodies tense with anger. The reptilian species clicked their jaw spikes in agitation when the Vortian entered from the opposite door. The Vortian, with their forearms and bioluminescent skin patterns flashing in distress signals, kept their distance. Both sides looked ready to attack each other, even here in the neutral zone. "Welcome," Olivia said, her voice carrying the perfect mix of authority and warmth that human diplomatic training had perfected. "Earth Alliance is honored to serve as mediator in these talks." Ambassador Krell of the Maxtree hissed through sharp teeth. "The butchers of the Vortian Collective deserve no talks. They deserve extinction." The lead Vortian negotiator, Minister Zoll, pulsed bright red with anger. rich words from the species that stole 3 of our outer systems in the last century. Olivia stepped between them. Please, honored representatives. We've all seen where this path leads. More death, more destruction. Is that truly what either of your peoples want? As the aliens began to settle, Samuel quietly circulated the room, offering refreshments. His neural transmitter was capturing vital information. The location of the Maxtree fleet deployments mentioned in whispered conversations. The resource shortages the Vortian were desperately trying to hide. Back on the Harbinger, Lisa Montgomery watched the incoming data with keen interest. The Vortian military is in worse shape than we thought, she noted to Captain Miller. Their main production facility in the Cygnus sector must have been hit hard in that last battle. Miller nodded. And look at the Maxtree ambassador's reaction when the mining rights to the Helios asteroids were mentioned. They're desperate for those minerals. Information we can use, Lisa said with a satisfied smile. In the conference room, Olivia was working her diplomatic magic. Both sides were already starting to calm down as she outlined a preliminary framework for peace. The Earth Alliance proposes a demilitarized zone between your territories, she suggested. This neutral region would be monitored by automated beacons. Any military vessel entering the zone would trigger an alert to both sides and to Earth. What she didn't mention was that these neutral monitoring beacons would provide human intelligence, with detailed scans of all ships in the region, military or otherwise. Another piece in humanity's vast intelligence network, freely given by the very species they were watching. As day 1 of negotiations ended, both the Maxtree and Vortian seemed cautiously optimistic. They retreated to their separate quarters on the station while the human delegation returned to the Harbinger. That night, Olivia sent her encrypted daily report to Earth Alliance headquarters. Her message ended with the same line every human diplomat included in their communications. Peace through strength, victory through patience. Directive 47 remains in effect. Millions of light years away, Admiral Daniel Wright read her report and smiled. The humans weren't peacekeepers. They were simply playing a much longer game than anyone in the galaxy suspected. And when the time came, they would be ready. The day the galaxy realized humans weren't peacekeepers, they were patient killers. HFY Sci-Fi. 3 days into the peace negotiations, Samuel Bennett found himself alone with a Maxtree junior diplomat in one of the station's observation lounges. The reptilian alien was young for his species, only 80 years old, and more willing to talk than his superiors. Your people have an amazing gift, the Maxtree diplomat said, his scales shifting to a relaxed blue pattern. Humans always seem to know what others need to hear. Samuel smiled and took a sip of his drink. We've had a lot of practice bringing people together. On Earth, we had thousands of years of conflict before we learned better ways. This was the story humans always told, that they had evolved beyond war through bitter experience. It wasn't entirely false. Humanity had indeed suffered through countless conflicts. What they didn't mention was that these conflicts had made them masters of strategy, deception, and patience. Your scans of our damaged shipyards were very thorough, the Maxtree said. The repair estimates your engineers provided will help convince our military leaders that this peace is necessary. Samuel nodded while his neural transmitter recorded every word. The Maxtree had just confirmed the location of their main shipyard, information the Earth Alliance had been seeking for years. Back in the main conference room, Commander Olivia Hayes was making progress. The Maxtree and Vortian representatives now sat at the same table without visible weapons. It was considered a major breakthrough. We propose a trade agreement, Olivia suggested. The Maxtree have excess deuterium from your gas mining operations. The Vortian need fuel for your colonies in the outer systems. A regular exchange would benefit both sides. What she didn't add was that routing these fuel shipments along the paths she suggested would keep both species' military vessels far from the human expansion corridor near the Perseus Arm. Every peace treaty humans brokered somehow always ended up creating buffer zones around Earth Alliance territory. On the Harbinger, Lisa Montgomery was compiling her daily intelligence report. The neural transmitters worn by the diplomatic team had gathered terabytes of valuable data. "Captain, I've identified a significant technological advancement in the Vortian fleet," she said to Frank Miller. "Their newest ships appear to use a more efficient form of faster-than-light drive than what we previously observed." Miller studied the technical readouts. "Can we get more detailed scans?" "Already working on it," Lisa replied. "I've asked Commander Hayes to suggest a joint patrol of the demilitarized zone once the treaty is signed. That should get us close, enough to their vessels for a complete analysis." Intelligence gathering was always the true purpose behind human diplomatic missions. While the galaxy saw humans as natural mediators, the Earth Alliance was building the most comprehensive database of alien technologies, weaknesses, and capabilities in known space. At day's end, Olivia returned to her private quarters on the Harbinger and activated her secure communication channel. Admiral Daniel Wright's hologram appeared before her. "Progress report, Commander," he said. "The peace talks are proceeding ahead of schedule," Olivia reported. "Both species are exhausted by war and receptive to our proposals. We've confirmed the location of the Maxtree shipyards and identified a new propulsion system in the Vortian fleet." "Excellent," Wright nodded. "And the redirected trade routes? All ships will be routed away from our planned expansion corridor. Within 5 years, we'll have established colonies in that region without either species noticing our strategic positioning." Wright's expression remained neutral, but Olivia could see approval in his eyes. "The Council wants to know if either species poses an immediate threat to human interests." Olivia considered this. "Not immediate, no, but both have technology that could eventually challenge us. The Vortian drive system could give them a speed advantage if they ever turned hostile." "Then we ensure they never have reason to turn hostile," Wright said. "Not until we're ready." After the Admiral's hologram faded, Olivia looked out her viewport at the stars. Humanity's strategy was simple but required immense patience. Identify potential threats. Insert themselves as helpful allies. Learn everything about these potential enemies while guiding them away from conflict with humans. And if conflict ever became inevitable, strike first with overwhelming force using the knowledge they had gathered during years of peace. On the 5th day of talks, a breakthrough occurred. Minister Zoll of the Vortian made a personal apology for the bombing of the Maxtree colony. It was unprecedented. "We lost our way in anger," the Vortian said, his skin pulsing with solemn blue patterns. "The death of innocents cannot be justified." Samuel watched from the side of the room, noticing how Olivia had positioned herself near the Maxtree ambassador before this moment. He had seen her whisper something to him just minutes earlier. Whatever she had said had prepared the Maxtree for this moment, making him receptive rather than dismissive of the apology. Ambassador Krell of the Maxtree lowered his head spikes in a gesture of acceptance. "Perhaps we have all been blinded by old hatreds." The humans exchanged subtle glances. Another diplomatic miracle was taking shape, exactly as planned. By the end of the day, both sides had agreed to the framework of a treaty. That evening, the human diplomatic team gathered in a secure conference room on their ship. "Phase 1 complete," Olivia announced. "Now we move to Phase 2, establishing the monitoring stations in the demilitarized zone." Noah Garcia pulled up a holographic map of the region. "I've suggested these coordinates for the monitoring beacons. Each one will have advanced sensors capable of mapping ship movements up to 3 light-years away. The Vortian and Maxtree think these beacons are for preventing military incursions," Samuel added. "They have no idea we'll use them to track all their fleet movements." Captain Miller studied the map. "This gives us nearly complete surveillance coverage of the entire Helios sector." "Well done." Olivia looked at her team with pride. They were the unseen defenders of humanity, fighting a war that no one else knew was happening. A war of information, positioning, and preparation. "Remember," she told them, "our job isn't just to make peace. It's to ensure that if war ever comes to humanity, we've already won before the first shot is fired." As the Harbinger orbited the space station, the rest of the galaxy continued to see humans as the great peacemakers. No one suspected that beneath their diplomatic smiles was the most dangerous species in the stars, patient predators who understood that the best ambush was the one your prey never saw coming. The day the galaxy realized humans weren't peacekeepers, they were patient killers. HFY Sci-Fi. The peace treaty between the Maxtree Imperium and the Vortian Collective was signed after 2 weeks of talks. Everyone called it a diplomatic miracle. The humans had done it again. Commander Olivia Hayes stood with her team as both alien species thanked them for their help. "Without Earth's wisdom, we might have destroyed each other," Ambassador Krell of the Maxtree said, his scales shimmering in the formal green pattern of gratitude. Minister Zoll of the Vortian pulsed with colors of agreement. "The galaxy is fortunate to have humans as its peacekeepers." Olivia smiled and bowed slightly. "We are simply happy to help create understanding between great civilizations." As the Harbinger prepared to leave Harmony Point Station, Captain Frank Miller reviewed their mission report. "Another successful negotiation," he said to Olivia. "Earth Alliance intelligence will be pleased with what we've gathered." The monitoring. "Beacons will be in place within 30 days, Olivia replied. "After that, we'll have eyes on every ship movement in the sector." The Harbinger jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading for Earth. Unknown to the Maxtree and Vortian, humanity had gained far more from the peace treaty than either of them. 3 months later, in a classified meeting room deep beneath Lake Geneva, on Earth, Admiral Daniel Wright addressed the Defense Intelligence Council. The room was filled with the most senior military and intelligence leaders of the Earth Alliance. Giant screens showed maps of the galaxy with specific regions highlighted. "The peace treaty between the Maxtree and Vortian has reduced military activity in the Helios sector by 70%, Wright reported. "Our colony ships can now move through the Perseus corridor without detection." General Patricia Warren, head of strategic operations, studied the display. "And our monitoring network?" "Fully operational," Wright replied. "Every ship larger than a shuttle is tracked and categorized. If either species decides to break the peace, we'll know immediately." Patricia nodded with approval. "And what about the Krall situation?" Wright's expression darkened. He touched a control panel, and the display shifted to show a different region of the galaxy. The Krall hegemony controlled a vast territory near the galactic core. Unlike the Maxtree and Vortian, the Krall had refused all diplomatic contact with humans. "The Krall continued to expand their territory," Wright said. "They've conquered 3 more systems in the past year. Their technology level is advancing rapidly." Council member Alan Clark spoke up. "Do they pose a direct threat to human interests?" "Intelligence suggests they view all other species as inferior," Wright answered. "They've destroyed several non-human civilizations already. It's only a matter of time before they turn their attention to us." Patricia studied the star map. "They're still too far away to strike directly at our colonies, but they're getting closer." "What's your assessment, Admiral?" Wright took a deep breath. "The Krall represent the most serious threat we've encountered. Unlike other species, they can't be reasoned with or manipulated through diplomatic channels. They see diplomacy as weakness." "Then we may need to consider more direct measures," Patricia said quietly. "Not yet," Wright cautioned. "We continue to gather intelligence through our network of allies. The Vortian traded with the Krall until recently. The peace treaty we brokered gives us access to all Vortian trade records. We're learning more about Krall technology and military capabilities every day." The council members nodded in agreement. Patience had always been humanity's greatest weapon. Why risk a direct confrontation when time was on their side? Back on the Harbinger, now patrolling near the newly established monitoring network, Olivia received new orders from Earth Command. Her ship would be assigned to the Cygnus region, where rumors of Krall scout ships had been reported. "Another diplomatic mission?" Lieutenant Noah Garcia asked as they prepared for departure. "Not this time," Olivia replied. "We're going to observe only. No contact with the Krall if we can avoid it." Noah looked surprised. "That's not our usual approach. The Krall are different," Olivia explained. "They don't respect diplomacy, they only understand strength." As the Harbinger moved through space, staying hidden at the edges of star systems, they collected data on Krall movements. The ship's advanced sensors, disguised as standard equipment on a diplomatic vessel, were actually cutting-edge military technology. In her private quarters, Olivia reviewed intelligence reports from across human space. Earth had diplomatic missions on over 50 worlds, each one gathering vital information. Humanity's public face might be one of peace, but beneath that mask was a species preparing for war. Lisa Montgomery entered after knocking. "Commander, we've detected unusual activity," she reported. "A Krall battleship just appeared at the edge of the system." Olivia immediately went to the bridge. Captain Miller was already issuing quiet orders to power down non-essential systems. "Stealth protocols active," he reported. "They shouldn't be able to detect us." The massive Krall vessel moved through the system, scanning planets and moons. It was clearly a survey mission, looking for resources or strategic positions. "Record everything," Olivia ordered. "Every scan they make, every communication they send." For 3 days, the Harbinger shadowed the Krall ship, gathering intelligence without being detected. When the alien vessel finally jumped away, the humans had collected more data on Krall technology than all previous missions combined. "Send everything to Earth Command," Olivia told Lisa. "Priority encryption." As the data traveled across space to Earth, Admiral Wright received another troubling report. Krall ships had been sighted near 3 different human colony worlds. They hadn't made contact or shown aggression, but their presence was concerning. "They're mapping our territory," Wright told the Defense Council during an emergency meeting. "Just as we've been mapping theirs." Patricia Warren's face was grim. "How much time do we have?" "Based on their expansion patterns, between 2 and 5 years before they make a move against us," Wright replied. "That should be enough," Patricia said. "Operation Shadow Shield is already at Phase 3. The defensive grid around our core worlds is nearly complete," Wright nodded. "And the offensive capabilities?" "In position but dormant. The Krall have no idea what we've been building while playing diplomat to the galaxy. Across human space, hidden behind the facade of peace, humanity had been preparing for this moment. Military bases disguised as research stations, warships hidden within civilian fleets, weapons platforms concealed as communication arrays, all waiting for the day when the mask of the peacekeeper would need to be set aside. On the Harbinger, Olivia Hayes received her new orders from Admiral Wright. Her ship would continue its intelligence-gathering mission, staying one step ahead of the Krall. "Remember Directive 47, Wright told her in their secure communication. "Peace through strength, victory through patience." Olivia understood perfectly. Humanity would continue to play the long game, appearing as the galaxy's mediators while secretly preparing for the conflict that seemed increasingly inevitable. The Krall would never suspect that the peaceful humans were actually the most dangerous predators they had ever encountered. The day the galaxy realized humans weren't peacekeepers, they were patient killers. HFY Sci-Fi 2 years passed. Humanity continued its role as the galaxy's peacekeepers, while secretly monitoring the Krall hegemony. The Earth Alliance had established 20 new colonies during this time, each one carefully positioned along strategic routes. To the rest of the galaxy, these were simple farming or mining operations. In reality, each colony contained hidden military installations and weapon platforms disguised as ordinary structures. Commander Olivia Hayes had been promoted to Admiral after her successful intelligence-gathering missions. She now commanded a fleet of ships that patrolled the border between human space and Krall territory. These ships appeared in official records as scientific research vessels or diplomatic craft. Their true capabilities remained hidden. On the bridge of her new flagship, the Guardian, Olivia reviewed the latest reports from human intelligence agents. The news was troubling. "The Krall fleet is mobilizing," she told Captain Noah Garcia, who had followed her from the Harbinger. "Multiple battle groups are moving toward their border stations." "Do you think they're finally making their move against us?" Noah asked. "Not yet," Olivia replied. "But they're preparing. Their leadership believes we're just peaceful diplomats with minimal military capacity. They see us as an easy target." Lisa Montgomery, now the head of Fleet Intelligence, joined them at the tactical display. "The Krall have conquered 12 non-human worlds in the past year alone. Their pattern is always the same: sudden overwhelming force with no warning or declaration of war." Olivia nodded grimly. And they think we'll be just as unprepared as their previous victims. On Earth, Admiral Daniel Wright met with President Abigail Foster in the secure bunker beneath the Global Government Center. The room was shielded against all forms of surveillance, allowing them to speak freely. Madam President, all intelligence points to an imminent Krail attack, Wright reported. Their fleet movements, resource allocation, and communications traffic all match the patterns we've seen before their previous invasions. President Foster studied the data carefully. A former intelligence officer herself, she understood the threat clearly. How ready are we, Admiral? Operation Shadow Shield is complete, Wright answered. All defensive and offensive systems are in place but remain inactive. The Krail have no idea what awaits them. And our allies? Foster asked. We've shared some intelligence with the Maxtree and Vorshan, but not our military capabilities, Wright said. If the Krail attack us, these species will likely remain neutral at first. They still see us primarily as diplomats, not warriors. Foster stood and walked to the large window overlooking the rebuilt city of Geneva. Earth had recovered well from its violent past. Green parks and gleaming towers stretched to the horizon. This peace had been hard won, and she intended to preserve. Yet implement Contingency Protocol Omega, she ordered. But take no overt action. We wait for the Krail to make the first move. Wright nodded. As you wish, Madam President. Peace through strength. Victory through patience, Foster finished. Humanity has learned this lesson well. In deep space, aboard the massive Krail command ship Desolator, High Commander Vec addressed his war council. The reptilian aliens were taller and more heavily built than the Maxtree, with armored plates covering their bodies and multiple rows of eyes that gave them superior battlefield awareness. The human territories are ripe for conquest, Vec declared, pointing to a holographic map of Earth Alliance space. Their ships are primarily diplomatic vessels. Their colonies are undefended. Their species has grown soft through generations of peace. The Krail generals clicked their battle mandibles in agreement. They had studied human activities for years and had seen nothing to indicate serious military capability. The humans were always talking, always negotiating, never fighting. We will strike their 3 border colonies simultaneously, Vec continued. Once these planets fall, their inner systems will be exposed. The humans will surrender rather than face extinction. None of the Krail suspected that their every word, their every plan was being transmitted directly to human intelligence through hidden monitoring devices placed by seemingly innocent trading vessels years earlier. Admiral Olivia Hayes received the intercepted Krail battle plans just hours before their fleet departed. She immediately relayed the information to Earth Command. They're targeting New Eden, Horizon, and Liberty colonies, she reported to Admiral Wright via secure channel. 3 battle groups heavily armed, estimated arrival in 20 hours. Wright's expression remained calm. Implement Defensive Protocol Alpha, he ordered. But remember, let them fire first. The galaxy needs to see who the aggressor is. Olivia understood. Humanity's reputation as peacekeepers was still valuable. When they finally revealed their true military might, it had to be clear they were acting in self-defense. The Guardian and its companion ships moved into position near New Eden colony. To any observer, they appeared to be ordinary vessels with minimal armaments. Only Olivia and her crew knew about the advanced weapon systems hidden beneath false hull plates and the powerful shield generators disguised as standard equipment. As the Krail battle fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near New Eden, Olivia opened a communication channel. Attention Krail vessels. This is Admiral Olivia Hayes of the Earth Alliance. You are entering restricted space. Please state your intentions. On the Krail command ship, High Commander Vec was surprised by the human response. He had expected panic, not calm inquiry. Still, one small diplomatic vessel posed no threat to his massive warships. Our intention is conquest, human, Vec replied. Your colony now belongs to the Krail hegemony. Surrender or be destroyed. Olivia's expression didn't change. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Commander. I ask you to reconsider and withdraw your forces." Vec laughed, a harsh clicking sound. "You dare to threaten the might of the Kral? Your pathetic diplomatic vessel stands alone against 20 warships." "We stand for peace," Olivia replied calmly. "But we are prepared for war." Vec ended the transmission with a gesture of contempt. "Destroy the human ship," he ordered. "Then begin the planetary bombardment." The lead Kral battleship fired its main weapons at the Guardian. The energy beams rushed toward the seemingly defenseless human vessel. At that exact moment, Olivia gave the order that humanity had been preparing for decades. "Disengage stealth systems. Activate defensive grid. All ships combat configuration." Across the New Eden system, dozens of hidden weapon platforms suddenly powered up. The false hull sections on the Guardian and its companion ships slid away, revealing advanced weapon systems. Powerful shields shimmered into existence, easily absorbing the Kral attack. High Commander Vec stared in disbelief as the scanner readings changed dramatically. Where moments before had been a small group of lightly armed ships, there was now a powerful battle fleet with weapons his sensors couldn't even identify. "Impossible," he whispered. On the bridge of the Guardian, Olivia Hayes watched as the Kral fleet frantically tried to regroup. "The galaxy is about to learn the truth about humanity," she said quietly. "We weren't peacekeepers. We were patient killers, waiting for the right moment to strike. The day the galaxy realized humans weren't peacekeepers, they were patient killers." HFY Sci-Fi. The battle at New Eden Colony lasted exactly 17 minutes. The Kral fleet, caught completely by surprise, never had a chance to regroup. "Admiral." Olivia Hayes directed her ships with calm precision, targeting the enemy vessels with weapons the Kral had never seen before. "Target their engines and weapon systems," she ordered. "Avoid total destruction where possible. We need prisoners for intelligence." The hidden weapon platforms around the colony fired in perfect coordination. 6 Kral warships were disabled in the first volley. The others tried to scatter, but the human vessels moved with unexpected speed and agility, cutting off their escape routes. On the Kral command ship, High Commander Vec watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their ships were supposed to be diplomatic vessels." His tactical officer had no answer. The sensor readings made no sense. The human ships had somehow concealed their true nature and capabilities for years. What had appeared to be scientific instruments were powerful weapons. What had seemed like civilian hulls now revealed military-grade armor. "All ships retreat," Vec ordered. But it was too late. Admiral Hayes opened a communication channel to the crippled Kral command ship. "High Commander Vec, your fleet is defeated. Surrender now." Vec's mandibles clicked in rage and disbelief. "What trickery is this? Humans are peacekeepers, not warriors." "That was a convenient misunderstanding," Olivia replied calmly. "One we never bothered to correct." Similar scenes played out at Horizon and Liberty colonies, where other Kral battle groups met unexpected and overwhelming resistance. The supposedly defenseless human settlements revealed hidden defense grids and concealed battle stations. What the Kral had thought would be an easy conquest turned into a humiliating defeat. News of the Kral attack and humanity's surprising victory spread quickly through the galaxy. Species that had known humans only as mediators and diplomats suddenly realized there was much more to this seemingly peaceful race. 3 days after the battle, President Abigail Foster addressed the Galactic Council in an emergency session. Representatives from over 200 species gathered to hear her speak. Many were nervous, now unsure about their human allies. "For generations, the galaxy has known humans as peacekeepers," Foster began. "That was true, but incomplete. Peace has always been our preference, but we have never been defenseless." The Maxtri ambassador clicked his jaw spikes anxiously. "You deceived the entire galaxy about your military capabilities." "We never claimed to have no defenses," Foster replied. "We simply allowed others to make assumptions based on what they saw. The Kral made the mistake of confusing our diplomatic nature with weakness." The Vortian representative's skin pulsed with concerned colors. "How long have you been preparing for war while pretending to work for peace?" We have always worked for peace, Foster said firmly. But our history taught us to be ready for those who do not value it. Like the Krall. On screens throughout the council chamber, images appeared showing the Krall's conquests of other civilizations, dozens of species exterminated, their worlds stripped of resources. The Krall have destroyed 12 civilizations in the past decade alone, Foster continued. They were planning to add humanity to that list. We chose not to let that happen. The council chamber was silent as the representatives absorbed this information. Many had lost trading partners and allies to the Krall's expansion, but had been too afraid to challenge the powerful empire. What happens now? Asked the representative from a small aquatic species. The Krall attacked us without provocation, Foster answered. Under galactic law, we have the right to defend ourselves, but we do not seek the destruction of their civilization, only an end to their aggression. In deep space, the truth of her words was being demonstrated. The Earth Alliance fleet, now fully revealed, had pushed deep into Krall territory. But unlike the Krall's typical conquests, the humans were not bombing planets or destroying civilian structures. They were precisely targeting military installations while broadcasting messages of reassurance to the Krall civilian population. Admiral Olivia Hayes commanded the main assault force from the Guardian. Her ships moved with surgical precision, neutralizing Krall defenses with minimal casualties. The Krall homeworld defense grid is down, Captain Noah Garcia reported. Their remaining fleet has retreated to their inner system. Olivia nodded. Open a direct channel to their leadership, Council. On the Krall homeworld, the ruling elders gathered in their ancient meeting chamber. The screens around them showed human ships in orbit, their weapons ready but not firing. We could have destroyed your civilization, Olivia told them over the open channel. Just as you have destroyed so many others. Instead, we offer terms for peace. The Krall High Elder hissed in defiance. Why would the mighty human warriors show mercy now? Because warriors understand the cost of war better than anyone, Olivia replied. And true strength lies in knowing when not to use your power. This was a lesson humanity had learned through its long, violent history on Earth. The same drive that had made humans such effective warriors had also taught them to value peace all the more. 17 days after the Krall's failed invasion, representatives from their government signed a formal surrender aboard the Guardian. The terms were strict but fair. The Krall would withdraw from recently conquered territories and submit to monitoring by a coalition of species, including humans. As word of humanity's victory spread throughout the galaxy, other species began to see Earth in a new light. They had always respected humans as mediators and peacekeepers. Now they understood this was only one aspect of a more complex species. The Maxtree ambassador summed it up best during a private conversation with Admiral Hayes after the signing ceremony. We always thought your diplomatic skills were your greatest strength, he said. Now we realize it was your patience. You waited and watched, gathering intelligence, preparing defenses, studying your enemies, all while helping others make peace. Olivia smiled. The perfect predator doesn't announce itself, she replied. It waits for the right moment to strike. Back on Earth, Admiral Daniel Wright stood with President Foster as they watched the sunrise over Lake Geneva. The first reports were coming in from the former Krall territories where human ships were now helping the species who had suffered under Krall occupation. Peace through strength, Wright said quietly. Victory through patience, Foster finished. The galaxy now knows the truth about humanity. We prefer peace, but we prepare for war. We extend friendship to all, but we never forget our duty to protect our own. Across the stars, the reputation of humans was changing. They were still called upon to mediate disputes and negotiate treaties. But now there was a new respect in the eyes of the other species. The knowledge that behind the diplomatic smiles and peaceful overtures was a civilization of patient killers who had mastered the art of waiting for the perfect moment to strike.